Welcome to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by thesoberclub.com. I'm Janey Grace. This is for you if you've quit the booze or you'd like to, or maybe you're just sober curious. I'll bring you tips and motivation without any judgment, and there'll be inspiration from experts, quit-lit authors, and sober heroes. Hi, and welcome to the podcast. Well, you're just over a week into New Year, so if you are doing, ditching the booze for January, then I hope it's going well for you. You know where all my tips are. I did an hour-long session for BBC Radio Wales last Thursday, so you can listen back to that on BBC Sounds. We covered quite a lot of the kind of typical stuff around the tips for people kicking off. It was interesting, really interesting chat actually. But there was one caller who texted in and said, "Oh, I haven't really noticed any difference. I was sober for absolutely years, literally till I was 50, and started drinking at 50. And now I'm 60 and I drink however much, I don't know, sounded like quite a lot to me. And I've noticed absolutely no difference in health benefits." And I think both myself and the producer and presenter were thinking, yeah, right. Okay, well, let's see how that works out for you. So that ties in very nicely with to introduce you to my guest this week. We're going to be talking all about the neuroscience of addiction. You know, how alcohol really affects us, how our brain works. We're going to be touching on some of that stuff. My guest is James Swanwick, really well known in this scene. He's been doing this stuff a long time, and I've been trying to get James on the podcast for, oh my goodness, as long as I can remember. So really looking forward to bringing you that interview with James Swanwick. We're going to be touching on, as I say, the neuroscience and, yeah, you know, all the stuff that we know about how the brain works. And it's just great to be reminded of the fact that, you know, some of this is kind of, it's almost like it's hardwired into us, really. That's where we need those reminders. I've also got a really interesting interview coming up soon that I did with a healer, I should call her, really. She has done 27 years as an osteopath, but she's very much a healer. And she was sharing some really mind-blowing stuff, actually, about the mind-body connection. And, you know, sometimes we think we're dealing with what is a very specifically emotional problem, mental health related problem, but actually it's still down to something in the body. And sometimes by bringing it back to that somatic, we can make such a difference. So we're looking forward to sharing that with you in due course as well. Just before we get into the interview, reminder of a few things. As I say, if you are early days, please check out the Sober Club. It really has so many resources there for you. Lots and lots of videos on the first 30 days, the first 100 days. We've got an online course, Get the Buzz Without the Booze. We have just amazing connectivity and just so much support, really, and accountability. And it all comes back to that wonderful feeling of being held accountable. There was a lovely testimonial from someone on our group who said, you know, I realized that without this group, I would just have bought into the whole media frenzy, you know, around all celebrating the new year and all of that. And thank goodness, you know, instead, I'm actually 1 year sober. So how cool is that? Really amazing. So yeah, do check out the Sober Club. It'd be great if you wanted to join us. Just a quick reminder of events. If you're listening to this, well, today, I'm at the Lights in Andover tonight. Looking forward to that. 29th of January, Wednesday, 29th of January, I'm going to be at Blackwells bookshop in Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh. I'm so looking forward to going there. So if you're in that area or if you can travel to Edinburgh, come see me. It'll be a very small event. We'll get to have a chat. And if there's a few people who want to meet up first before that event, we'll do that as well. So it'd be really, really great to see some Sober Club members, podcast listeners at that event in January 29th in Edinburgh. And then let me see what else have we got coming up. I should mention next Friday, by the way, 17th of January, I'm going to be in York at an event organised by one of my sober coaches. So if you look at the Sober Club, you'll see info of that. And then end of December, it's Tony Wardstill's comedy event. That's on the 31st near Reading. And then if you'd like to do Family Constellations, you've been thinking about it for ages, or maybe you've already been to one and you'd like to come again, then February 23rd is our next date for Family Constellations in Hertfordshire. And then finally, we got the booking open for the retreat. So it's a soulful sobriety retreat. You do not have to be sober. It's fine if you're on day one, and it's also fine if you've been sober for 10 years, because we're going to be focusing on nurturing yourself, on self-care, on how we combine all the self-care stuff with spirituality. But it's going to be it's going to be a level that will suit everyone. So if you're thinking, oh, I might not fit in, honestly, you will. Trust me. We will have a cacao ceremony. So if you're new to anything like that, then you'll love it. But there'll be some teaching in there and lots of chance to actually relax as well. So it's in a beautiful luxury farmhouse in Essex, and that's the 7th to the 9th of March. Obviously, spaces are very limited, particularly if you want a single room. There's not many spaces left. So if you go to thesoberclub.com, click on events, and you'll see the little picture there for the Soulful Sobriety Retreat. It'd be really great to see some of you there. And there'll be another date as well for a live podcast. We'll do that in due course. So just to remind you then, before I share this interview with you, I know that there are people who are tuning into this podcast probably for the first or second time, and they're new to all of this. And a couple of weeks, 2, 3 weeks into January is often the time when you get the wobbles. You know, you start strong and then you get the wobbles, and you get the little wine witch voice saying, well, you could just have one. It's a special occasion, or it's someone's birthday, or it's a work thing, and you could just have one because you've proved to yourself that you really don't have an addiction. You're perfectly fine. So you just have one, and then you start from that place, and then you can just moderate. And trust me, have that conversation out in the open rather than in your head. Have that conversation with someone who's been there, done it, got the t-shirt. That's why being in the Sober Club is amazing, because even if you were to type that in our group, no one will judge you. It's not about judgment, but you'll get so much love sent back to you, literally love bombing, with people saying, don't do it, sweetheart. Stay sober, push through, find something else, find a distraction, find a hobby, find some self-care routines, put something different in place, listen to a podcast, go to bed early if necessary, keep the ritual, change the ingredients. My mantra, keep focusing on everything you're gaining. And when you've got that support and momentum, it really makes all the difference in the world. So reach out to someone. If you don't want to join us in the Sober Club, or communities are not for you, then just reach out. You can always message me. I will respond to, well, if I get the message, I'll respond to it. Can't say fairer than that. Some of them go astray, don't they? But if I do get your message, I will respond. It's at Janey Lee Grace. You can find me on any social media platforms, or just find me via the Sober Club. I'll hold the vision for you. I'll hold you accountable as best I can. And obviously, don't forget, I offer one-to-one coaching as well as training sober coaches. So we have a whole bunch of options for you to get the support that you need. So you definitely don't have to feel like you're on your own. So enjoy the interview. I finally get to chat to James Swanwick. How you doing, James?
I'm doing so well. Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah, it's great to chat to you. I've been trying to get this schedule for so long, and one way or another, it takes forever. But really, really great to chat to you. Renowned sobriety advocate, entrepreneur, lifestyle coach, and all the rest of it. And I really want to chat to you about a bunch of things. Obviously, the work you do around alcohol, but also around sleep. So there's a bunch of things I'd like to get into. But let's just start with your story. For people who don't know, what's your background? What led you to where you are now?
Well, I stopped drinking alcohol in 2010, but prior to that, I was a socially acceptable drinker in that growing up in Australia, I would have 2 or 3 drinks a night, a bottle of wine a night. To be clear, I wasn't getting arrested or waking up in a ditch. I didn't have a chemical
Yeah,
dependency, but I very much had a cultural conditioned dependency on alcohol.
yeah,
Social drinker, end of the day, drank to relax. Sometimes I got drunk, had a lot of fun, but who doesn't when they're in their, early 20s and like maybe in their 30s. But what I came to realize is that by the time I got to age 34, I'd put on about 25 pounds of unwanted body fat. I was irritable, stressed, I wasn't sleeping great. Just blah. I wasn't rock bottom, but I was feeling like I was living life at a 6 out of 10, just completely
Mm,
mediocre. And so in 2010, I decided to take what I thought would be just a little 30-day break from alcohol, and it turned into almost 15 years and counting. And then later on, after about 5 years of not drinking and experiencing clarity and focus and energy and the body that I think nature intended me to have and great relationships, I created an organization named Alcohol Free Lifestyle. And now we help mostly folks in their 40s, 50s, and 60s, middle-aged, let's say, successful business owners, executives, to stop drinking alcohol, to quit drinking alcohol, but most importantly, stay quit.
yeah.
And that organization's called Alcohol Free Lifestyle, and we have a podcast and we have coaching programs, and we're really kind of helping support the movement that's going on worldwide at the moment of people either being sober curious or stopping alcohol entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. When you quit, you say you were sort of part of that culture in Australia. What happened in terms of your sort of relationships and people around you? What was the impact? What did you notice?
The impact was just average relationships, less than average health, uh, envious of other people, irritable very easily, frustrated with waiters or waitresses or people in traffic.
Yeah,
Uh, I was living in Hollywood, California at the time. I'm Australian, was born and raised Australian, but I remember my parents would call me at what I felt was inopportune times. So I'd be doing stuff, and then my mother would call just for a friendly weekly check-in to see how her son on the other side of the world was doing, and I would screen her call, and I go, "Oh, mum, bloody calling me at a in inopportune time again. Oh, my dad wants to catch up chat." So it was just kind of like not really a pleasant person. I mean, I
mm,
wasn't rock bottom. I wasn't a complete, son
yeah,
of a whatever, but I
yeah.
was just it's just blah.
Yeah, it
And
is
I
interesting how it
recognize
makes
I
you
was blah.
irritable. You're dead right. I've never even thought of it like that. I remember the anxiety well, but I'd forgotten about the irritability. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I used to snap at my kids big time, unnecessarily so. And then when you quit, what happened to relationships then? Were you accepted? Did things have to shift? We hear of people who are fearful of quitting because they're worried about what will happen to their relationship circle, or will they be accepted? What happened for you?
I shared that worry and concern when I first stopped. I went to the Jones Bar on Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood with my two good friends at the time, Zach and Tom, and I told them I wasn't drinking very awkwardly, and they encouraged me to drink nevertheless. And I said, no, I'm not going to drink just for 30 days. And then Zach went to the bar to get a round of drinks and came back and gave me what I thought was soda water, ice and a piece of lime, which is what I requested. And as I went to sip it, he had this guilty grin on his face. And I said, did you put vodka in this? And he said,
Wow.
yeah, I did. And I thought, wow, even my good friends here are still trying to get me to drink. But I didn't drink it. And I just, again, I was strong in my conviction. I said, no, 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 I'm not going to drink. And then I was single at the time. I invited a lovely woman out on a date, and I was so awkward about revealing to her that I wasn't drinking that I got to the bar ahead of time, and I did a deal with the bartender, and I said, "Look, when I order a vodka soda, just make it a
Make it
soda."
great.
And so, but then she
Uh,
found out a few weeks later when I was dating her that I had actually done that. And she got really irritated with me, so much so that we didn't continue on in that relationship. So I was like, wow, if I tell people that I'm not drinking, they try to get me to drink. And if I hide that I'm not drinking with someone, they get irritable that I was hiding. So what am I going to do here? But I will say this, that over time, I became increasingly comfortable and confident with the fact that
yeah,
I wasn't drinking. And because I had that confidence and that lightheartedness about me not drinking,
yeah,
increasingly people just accepted it and went, oh, okay, cool, no problems at all. It's where I think we get into trouble is where we're like apologizing for not drinking or we're
exactly.
sheepish about not drinking. And
Mm,
then people, of course, say, go on, just have one, you'll be fine.
yeah, yeah,
But if you just own it and you're confident about it, then people actually tend to admire you for it and start asking you questions through the lens of them being interested in not drinking.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is about doing that prep, isn't it? Knowing exactly what you're going to say when you get to the bar, rather than, oh, well, actually, I'm kind of not drinking. Oh, when you actually just go, yeah, I'm not drinking at the moment, so I'd love a whatever it is, lime and soda or whatever. Yeah, absolutely. And tell me about your. I mean, I'm sure there's loads more we can talk about with your story, but I'm really interested that some of the people that you work with, particularly in the kind of entrepreneurial field. So we're talking, individuals who are probably successful, they've got plenty of money. So yeah, of course they want to spend that on alcohol. What do you think are the particular challenges that those kind of people face when they recognize that it's time to quit?
Yeah, well, I can tell you most of the members that we support inside of one of our programs at Alcohol Free Lifestyle. Let me just give you like the avatar,
Yeah,
right?
please
What's
do. Yeah.
going on? Average age tends to be early 50s, married with either young or adult children, marital strain, not present with their children, don't have a great relationship with their children, high blood pressure, acid reflux, aches and pains, not sleeping throughout the night. Um, like I described before, they just feel like they're drifting.
Yeah.
They realize
Yeah.
that they've got less time on Earth than what they've already had,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
they really desire to have the third and fourth quarter of their life feel so much better than
Good.
what it felt like in, let's say, the second quarter.
Yeah.
That tends to be the issue. Now, most of the folks are successful in many areas of their life. They're successful in business, they're successful in their job, they're successful at many, many things. Maybe they feel successful at raising a family, they've successfully stayed married in many cases, but they just can't seem to be successful as it relates to their alcohol
Mm,
consumption.
mm.
And no matter how many times they've tried to stop, and they've succeeded at stopping, but they always tend to
Go
return,
back. Yeah.
go back to drinking. And so that's
Yeah.
the one thing they haven't been able to solve, and it's a source of great frustration for them.
Yeah.
That is the common story. Now, in more serious cases, people have got a DUI or they've said something embarrassing or they've had an experience and their kids just don't want to talk to them. But in most cases, again, it's not shockingly rock bottom. It tends to be my kids really don't want to hang out with me,
Yeah.
and my wife or my husband have said something about my drinking and it's causing marital strain and we're
Yeah.
drifting,
Yeah.
or the doctor has said, your blood pressure's pretty high. If you don't solve this now, there's going to be some massive problems down the line.
Yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? That, as you say, people are, they're successful in so many areas. They can sort problems out. They can um, face challenges. And yet this thing is different. And so often, what I've found with clients and myself, I have to admit, is that um, we're under some kind of illusion that alcohol is the answer, and it's very difficult to kind of retrain our brain to properly accept that alcohol has zero benefits. It's really hard to retrain ourselves to that because if we had it thrown in our face culturally and every which way round, that alcohol is the answer. Alcohol will make you feel more confident, more sexy, more relaxed, more whatever the hell, will help you network. Actually, none of it is true, but it's really difficult to square that with the unconscious mind, isn't it?
It is. In fact, the conditioning started when we were little boys and girls, when our parents said, "Oh, no, no, Janie, no, no,
Yeah,
James, you
yeah, you
can't
can't
drink
have that. It's for adults. Yeah.
It's for adults.
Yeah.
You can have that when you're older." And of course, you're implanting the idea in the little child's brain that, oh, alcohol's a rite of passage. Alcohol's something that I get to do
Yeah.
when I'm older. And that's where it starts. And then, of
Yeah.
course, smiling assassins is what I refer to them. It's
Yeah.
everyone comes at you smiling, saying, "Hey, can I get you a drink? Would you like to have a wine? Can I offer you a beer?" Think about when we go into a restaurant, the waiter or waitress comes over and says, "Hello, Miss Grace. Lovely to see you here. Hello, Mr. Swanwick. Can I get you started with a drink from the drinks menu?" I
Yeah.
mean, they may as well be saying, "Hello there, Miss Grace and Mr. Swanwick. Can I get you started with a glass of regret? Can I get you some
Yeah.
unwanted body fat, please.
Yeah,
Hey,
exactly.
would you like to choose something from this menu of disrupted sleep? Would you
Yeah,
like to
yeah,
wake up at 3 in the morning, or would you like to wake up at 6 with shame and regret
yeah,
and feeling like crap? But that's what it is. And we are all doing it with a smile on our face. And a lot of us are well intentioned. Like if you were to invite someone over to your house for a Christmas party or an event or something, of course you want to be a great host, right? You want to be hospitable. And so what do? You say, oh, can I get you a drink? Would you like a wine? I've got vodka. Would you? But it's all preposterous
yeah,
because it's nothing more than attractively packaged poison.
totally.
And society has been, you know, the liquor companies have been doing a great job at marketing their
Haven't
product to,
they? Haven't they?
and the reality is that though is that it's just not good for us. It's attractively packaged poison, and we're all just walking around in this matrix going, "Oh, isn't this great that we're consuming this poison?" No, it's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I've said before on this podcast that, I find it incredible the marketing around alcohol. I mean, it's so clever and it's so linked to being glamorous, particularly for women. I mean, you can't have a Mother's Day without, you can't buy a present for your mother unless it's got alcohol as part of it, or a birthday card for your son. And so everything's linked to the glamour around alcohol. And yet the marketing companies never show any images of their customers when they've consumed the product. We never get the pictures of someone who's had the alcohol and then is in the gutter. We don't get those pictures, do we? We just get the glamorous idea of it all.
And then if they did show an image of someone in the gutter, then people who were drinking alcohol would go, "Oh, that's not me.
That's not me.
That's an
Exactly.
alcoholic," right?
Exactly.
And a lot of the time is, especially for your listener who's listening to us right now, drinking alcohol over many years and decades can be kind of like death by a thousand cuts. You
Yeah.
don't actually see it destroying you in the moment, day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year. But consider this, right? Let's just talk about weight gain as one consequence of drinking alcohol. Let's just say that you put on just 3 tiny little pounds
Mm.
per year as a result of your drinking. Well, over a decade, that's 30 pounds.
Yeah.
And especially for women, I know, because I've got lots of women clients, a lot of our women clients are like, I'll put on 20 or 30 pounds. I need to lose it. And so it's creeped up over 10 years
Yeah.
to the point where
Yeah.
now it's like, oh, now it's a problem. That's what I mean by death by a thousand cuts. It's kind of like this little cut here and a little cut there and a little consequence there and a little irritable conversation with your husband or your wife here and a little fight with your children here. And that happens month or year over year until finally it's like, whoa, what has happened here?
Yeah. 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 Totally. It really is. And the really amazing thing that I think I um I, I wish we could kind of bottle this bit and sell it or promote it, but nobody tells you how how this impacts on every area of your life. Like so many things, so many chronic illnesses get better. Well, they certainly don't get worse. Let's put it that way. There isn't anything that doesn't kind of improve. That's the really incredible thing, isn't it? That all we ever hear from the mainstream is, "Oh, poor you. Oh, you can't drink anymore. Oh dear. Oh, that's such a shame for you." Not, "Oh my God, what an amazing decision you've made. Now you're going to live your best life and you've got an opportunity for everything to get better."
Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. Let me reference a gentleman named Evan Melcher, who's a 49-year-old financial advisor out of Atlanta, Georgia. And he came to us 3 years ago, had been drinking, cultural conditioned drinking all of his life. And when he came to us, he was on 4 different prescription medications.
Yeah.
He had acid reflux, high blood pressure, sleep problems, and then anxiety. So he was on anti-anxiety depression. He was 28 pounds, almost 30 pounds overweight in his view. And he had some marital strain. He had 2 young children. Again, wasn't rock bottom, but acid reflux, poor sleep, high blood pressure, looked a bit chubby in the face, carrying a bit of a beer belly, and just kind of like blah. He stopped drinking. Within 4 months of him stop drinking, he was off all of those prescription medications. 3 years later today, as we're recording this, he's remained off all prescription medication. He lost the 28 pounds. He's vibrant, healthy, energetic. He and his wife Jennifer came down and visited me in person and spent a couple of days with them. They're just absolutely
Mhm.
so happy and so energetic and so vibrant heading into their 50s,
Yeah,
and like
exactly.
that's what happens when you just remove the poison. Because as soon as you stop drinking, it's like this domino effect. It's like you stop drinking alcohol, one domino goes over, all of a sudden you lose weight. Another domino goes over, your blood pressure drops. Another
Yeah.
domino goes over, you start sleeping through the night. Another domino goes over, oh, all of a sudden you now have this passionate, beautiful, connected relationship with your spouse, and
Yeah.
so forth, so forth, and so forth.
And usually a kind of growing interest in living healthily, and you'd start to consider decent food and everything else, and finding your purpose. That's the great thing, isn't it? So tell me about, you started off by saying, that the key is to support people to stay stopped, to sort people to I mean, I always call it just living your best life without alcohol. So how do you help people to navigate, if you like? I don't know if you use the word relapse, but how do you help people to navigate the awkward bits? How do you do the troubleshooting piece?
Yeah, well, look, most of what we do with our stop drinking process is using neuroscience. So we've studied at Stanford University, Cambridge University, Harvard, and we're kind of up to speed with the latest neuroscience research that comes out. And so what we do is we educate our members and clients as to why we are so addicted to
Yeah,
alcohol. A lot of that has to do with dopamine, like how dopamine receptors fire off when we drink alcohol. Also, what we've noticed a lot is folks talking about their brain not working as effectively when they're drinking alcohol as opposed to when they're not. So that would suggest to me there's some neurotransmitter issues going on in many drinkers' brains.
yeah,
And so we try to educate folks on the science. And once we educate folks in the science and they start to understand what's going on and they start to understand why they're addicted and why they have cravings and why they crave an alcohol at 5 o'clock every day, then we can, start to dig into that. And now the member or the client starts to go, oh, okay, I'm getting this now. This totally makes sense. Then, through a process of trying to get their dopamine receptors from natural activities or natural solutions, and then holding them accountable to do so in a like-minded group of other folks, all of a sudden change becomes not just possible, but probable.
yeah,
Now, a lot of the ways that we can get the dopamine receptors firing again and the neurotransmitter receptors firing again is by very, very simple things. And the simple things are going to sound so simple that you're like, who is this guy? This is ridiculous. I've heard this a million times. But really, it can be as simple as getting sunlight first thing in the
yeah,
morning,
exactly.
eating nutritious food, grass-fed meats, vegetables, nice salads, getting some healthy fats, making sure you're walking at least 7,500 steps a day if you can, focusing on sleep hygiene, like really understanding how a good night's sleep takes place, making sure you're drinking plenty of water, making sure you're in a like-minded community, being practicing gratitude, writing down 20 things that you're grateful for many days of the week. Those kind of things, even though it seems so, 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 so simple, can actually get the dopamine receptors firing in a natural way and can get the dopamine receptors firing from community and connection and gratitude.
Yeah,
And a healthy human, even just mentally, is a human that does not crave poison because
yeah,
they're already getting the dopamine receptors firing from just feeling fulfilled. It's when
absolutely.
we're like stressed and we're anxious and we experience lack or a perception of lack that
Yeah,
we like, let me have a glass of wine, let me have
yeah,
some, oh, I got to do this. So that's pretty much fundamentally what we do. I'd love
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
this drop the mic moment where it's like, wow, they've
yeah,
discovered the breakthrough of how to stop people drinking. It's really as simple
yeah,
as focusing on your health, your diet,
Yeah.
great relationships and being in gratitude.
Yeah, it's called self-care, isn't it? And most of us are really bad at it, really, really bad at properly putting ourselves first. I also think it's really interesting that lots of people who are, drinking too much and having a real issue quitting, they're people pleasers. And often they'll be so concerned about making sure everyone else is okay that the whole idea of even putting themselves first feels too tough for them, you know? And we have to put ourselves first. We have to do that bit first. The cliche, put your own oxygen mask on first. It's actually really key. It really is. I'm really interested in your the stuff you do around sleep because when people first quit, sleep can be difficult to start with. Eventually, it gets so much better, doesn't it? But in the early stages, it can be tricky. So tell me a bit about the company that you have and what you do.
Yeah, so I have a company named Swanwick Sleep, and we produce blue light blocking glasses. And a blue light blocking glass mostly has an orange lens to it. And what you do is when you wear these blue blockers, let's say in the last hour or two at nighttime before you desire to go to sleep,
Mm,
the orange lens blocks the artificial blue light that comes out of your mobile phone, your computer, your screen, your microwave light, the kitchen light, the bathroom light, the shower light, the reading light. All of that artificial light at night is triggering our pituitary gland in our brain,
mm,
which I'm sorry, suppresses our melatonin release.
yeah.
So if you think about this, of course, we always associate melatonin with good night's sleep, right?
Mm, mm,
But when you are on your phone, watching TV, walking around at night in the nighttime with the lights on, you are preventing your melatonin from being released in a natural way. And of course, what happens is we go to sleep and we either have a disrupted night's sleep, we toss and turn, we wake up in the night, or we wake up in the morning feeling tired and lethargic, even if we've had 7 or 8 hours sleep.
yeah. Yeah.
What we do with our company, Swanwick Sleep, is that we've produced these scientifically researched blue blockers, which block that artificial light. You wear them for about an hour before you go to sleep. You remove them just before you desire to go to sleep. And what tends to happen is that the melatonin has been released through the body sufficiently. Now we're able to actually sleep considerably better. And this has all been scientifically proven. The University of Washington did a scientific study on our brand of glasses back in 2018, which showed that people who wore the glasses, like I just described,
Mm.
um, actually reported sleeping 13% better overall,
Wow.
8%, 8% longer, but most importantly, they reported an 11% improvement in productivity the following day.
Oh, wow.
They had a night's
That
sleep.
so is this kind of linked to the theory that, in an ideal world, we would be waking up, when the sun rises or at least early, and we'd actually be going to bed really a lot earlier and the light would be dimmed. We certainly wouldn't be on bloody computers at, 11 o'clock at night. That's how it would be in an ideal world, right? That's
Yes.
but we don't live in an ideal world.
No, well,
But if we did I suppose, in days gone by, that's that, when it gets dark, you'd light a few candles and you'd literally wind down. But we tend to kind of race through. I mean, there are nights when I find myself on the computer at midnight, and I know that that's crazy.
yeah. Well, up until the late 1870s, we actually lived our life at night by candlelight.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
flame
Yeah,
and
yeah,
fire
yeah,
does not disrupt our melatonin release.
yeah,
We
yeah.
actually stare into
It's
a raging
artificial
fire.
light that's the issue. Yeah,
That's right. So then Thomas Edison mass produced the light bulb. He
yeah,
started doing it in the late 1870s. And in terms of human evolution, that was a remarkable and incredible thing to happen, right? Because we get so much more done with this artificial light. We create more safety for society. Like it's just very practical and very, very efficient. However, simultaneously, the mass production of the electric light bulb in the late 1870s, it has fundamentally destroyed natural sleep for
yeah,
human beings
yeah, yeah.
because now we're staying up later than we ordinarily would have, and not just staying up later, but staying up later while staring into an artificial light, which suppresses our melatonin release, right?
Sure.
So there's lots of advantages to living our life at night with electric light. Of course
Mm.
there are, right? But the disadvantages and the destruction to our natural sleep patterns are profound. Like
Yeah, totally. And I'm
the
guessing you would say it's important to make sure you turn off devices at night as well. Would you agree with that?
well, it is, but I can tell you this, and I can speak for my own self, right? I've received the same advice for a decade, which is don't be on your phone at nighttime. I'm still on
But you
my
still
phone
do,
at night.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We have to make it
But
work with our lives, don't we? That's the reality. We do, we
but
do.
I always wear a pair of my Swannies
Yeah, yeah,
light
yeah,
blocking glasses. Like I
yeah.
always. I don't recall a night in the past 9 years since I started this company where I haven't worn a pair of the orange lens blue blockers.
Right.
Our
For about
customers,
an hour, yeah.
yeah, about an hour. Like,
Mm,
look, when the sun goes down, you can put them on and wear them for 3 hours if you like. You
mm.
can do that. That's the gold standard.
Yeah,
Me, I'm just looking at what's the most practical thing most practical habit, which makes me feel energy and enthusiastic about keeping that habit every night of the
yeah,
year for
yeah, yeah,
365 years.
yeah.
So for me, it's like 45 minutes to an hour. Before I know I want to sleep, I put the glasses on. I keep scrolling through my phone. I know I'm not supposed to, but because I've got my
Yeah,
blue
yeah.
blockers on,
What if you already have prescription lenses then?
yeah. So we have glasses called fit overs that just sit very
Oh, okay. Oh,
smoothly
that's clever.
over the top, and then
Right.
we also make prescription glasses as well for those who
Oh,
want to invest.
wow.
Yeah.
Fascinating. On a slightly different note, but I'm interested in your view, if you've looked into it, around kind of light boxes or, light for people who, they would typically say they suffer from seasonal affective disorder, and you can get these light boxes that give, I don't know, sort of 10,000 lux or whatever. Have you ever tried any of those during the
Yeah.
day?
Not in the first thing in the morning, I would
Yeah.
certainly do that. Like if you're waking up before the sun gets up, maybe you're in the northern hemisphere,
Yeah.
it's the
Yeah. Yeah.
wind.
Yeah.
Then yeah, there's a brand called, I think it's from Philips. It's called the Philips Wake Up
Yeah,
Light.
that's right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I could recommend that. We've had a lot of our customers who've used that in the morning.
Mm,
Um,
mm,
but but look, here's the thing. Use that for sure, and that
mm.
will help. But when the sun actually does get up,
Yeah,
please
you need to
go
get out in
outside.
it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and it makes a difference that early getting out of that and getting that sunlight first thing, really, doesn't it?
Well, what it does is our skin has receptors on it, and when the natural sunlight hits the skin, it tells our body's internal clock, which is called our circadian rhythm, oh, got it, this is wake up time. So
Mm,
what that does is that it triggers the release of cortisol in our body, the wake up hormones that gets us going, gets us moving, and it also sets an internal timer that will then trigger later on at night, which is, oh, okay, it's now time to release the melatonin to help you
yeah,
go to sleep.
yeah,
The challenge that we have in society at the moment is that most people are waking up, staying indoors, not exposing themselves to that light. And now our internal clock is going, is it wake up time? Is it still nighttime? I'm a
yeah.
little bit confused.
Well, and also
And
don't forget you're talking to someone here in the UK where, God, we're lucky if we get any sunlight,
mhm,
particularly at this time of year. I mean, it can
yes.
be grim. I think we had a glimmer a couple of days ago, and I can't tell you how grateful I was.
Yeah, no, it's a big deal. I mean, I lived in the UK for 4 years, from 1999 to 2002. I have experienced exactly what
Mm,
you just
mm.
what you
I
just
mean, my
said.
years ago, I used to talk about, I do talks about holistic living, and I used to always talk about vitamin D levels, and particularly for women, the importance of vitamin D, linked to breast cancer. Oncologists will tell you you need adequate levels of vitamin D. I used to talk about this stuff, and yet I hadn't checked my own levels. I go and check my own levels one day. Oh my God, it's a wonder I'm not dead. And my levels were something like 12, and you need to be right up there near 100. I was 12, I mean, crazy. And we
It
just
is
we just
crazy.
don't get enough information about, because I'd been hiding myself from the sun. I'd been, covering up and making, because I'm fairly, fair skinned. So I'd bought into all that nonsense that sunlight is the enemy, and, slathering on the sun cream and staying in the shade and covering up every little bit of me. Um, but it soon changed, let me tell you. I started taking some vitamin D and getting out there, and my levels shot up to something like 90, and the doctor is like, oh my God, I've never seen a graph of recovery like it. And I said, well, that's because I didn't take the kind of crappy things you prescribed me. I took some proper vitamin D and I got out in the sun.
Yes, yes.
So
There's some nuance to that, and what you're saying is absolutely correct. And the nuance is, if you grew up in, say, Australia, like I did, there's a big hole in the ozone layer, and the sun there is ferociously strong compared to a northern hemisphere
yeah, so
sun.
it's completely the
So in
opposite.
actual fact, it does make sense to cover up for most of the day if you're out in the sun.
Yeah,
But here's the thing, right? All you need is 15 minutes.
exactly. You need some sunlight. Yes,
Exactly. So yeah,
exactly.
I definitely, if you're in a southern hemisphere sun, I'm not going to say go out there and for 6 hours,
No,
7 hours in
absolutely.
the
Burn
day,
yourself. No,
you
no.
want to cover yourself. But what you do want is you want to get some level of sun without the hat, without the sun cream, without the
Exactly.
blood.
Well, they used
Like,
to call it, I mean, it's called heliotherapy, isn't it? Many years ago, they would actually take patients out from naturopathic clinics and literally have them outside for 20 minutes. That was actually part of
yes.
the treatment. It's fascinating, really. It's ridiculous how far we've come from recognizing all of this. But yeah, it's
There's actually an interesting study that came out, I think, in the mid 2000s that showed that hospital patients, you're in a hospital, you're a patient. If you patients whose hospital room has a
oh
window,
yeah, can see nature.
right, like where
Yeah, yeah,
light comes in
yeah,
and they can see
yeah,
nature,
yeah,
actually spend fewer days in recovery in the
yeah.
hospital than those who don't,
Isn't that amazing?
isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. Really, what are we doing to ourselves, kind of hiding ourselves away from the light. And obviously we could get onto the topic of kids and the importance of kids to be out in nature. There's that great book, isn't there, Nature's Deficit Disorder. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a real issue for kids, I think, when they're holed up and they're not able to kind of get out into nature as well. So yeah, fascinating topic. So tell us where we can find your stuff, James. Let's start with the sleep company. Where can we get your fantastic blocking glasses? I love the idea of that.
Thank you. Swanwicksleep.com or on Amazon, depending on where you are. But my last name is actually spelled Swanwick, even though it's
Yeah,
pronounced Swanwick. So if you go to swanwicksleep.com, you'll be able to see our full range there. We're also on Amazon. And
yeah.
interestingly, a lot of professional sports teams are wearing our brand of glasses now. Tottenham Hotspur in the
Are
English Premier,
they? Cool.
some Manchester United players, and then over in the US, the New Orleans Saints NFL team, the New York Knicks basketball team. A lot of the pro athletes are now wearing our glasses because their sports science departments are all recognizing that the way to get their star athletes to perform on the field or on the pitch or on the court is to make sure they have a great night's sleep. And so
Yeah,
they're what insisting that their star players now wear the glasses again in the last hour before sleep so they get the best night's sleep and therefore can perform on the field.
yeah, yeah. Amazing, fantastic. And tell us your other company. I'll put all this in the show notes, of course. But your alcohol-free lifestyle, right?
Alcoholfreelifestyle.com, or if you'd like to listen to the podcast, which shares a lot of tips and tricks about reducing alcohol, quitting alcohol, staying quit from alcohol, you just type in alcohol free lifestyle into Apple Podcasts or on Spotify.
Brilliant. James, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, I appreciate it, Jenny. Thanks very much for having me.
Thank you, James. You can find everything about the stuff that James does at jamesswanwick.com. And just another reminder, go to thesoberclub.com/events for all of the stuff that I've been mentioning. The Edinburgh gig, Wednesday, 29th of January, and our retreat on the 7th to the 9th of March in Essex, and family constellations. Really hope we can run this one. Sunday, 23rd of February in Hertfordshire. And get in touch if you have already ditched the booze, if you've kind of been a fair way into this journey and you're thinking, I'd really love to support other people, then drop me a message, because the work that I'm doing training sober coaches is just amazing to see the transformation in people. Often, it's not always because you want to become a coach. Sometimes it's just that you want to really lay those foundations for your own sobriety. And there's no better way of doing it than really diving deep into, well, the neuroscience, the trauma piece, the nutrition, the mindset, and everything else. And what really happens with our training is that you get to be transformed yourself, which is pretty amazing, as well as obviously having all the skills. If you decide you want a new purpose, which so many people do once they've quit alcohol, they decide, I'm really ready now to take on a new purpose, a new challenge, do something different. So if that's something that you're interested in, we have a training that kicks off at the end of April. So just drop me a message and we can have a chat to see if it's right for you. Nothing salesy. I never try and persuade anyone to do this. It's if you get that kind of feeling in your gut that, I'd actually really love to support other people. People are asking me, family members, friends, people at work end up asking me about this. And actually, I think I could make a difference. Then, if that's you, drop me a message and let's have a chat. So second week into the new year, if you are your second week or nearly second week into dry January, keep going. It is the best thing you will ever do for your health and well-being. See you next week. Thank you for listening to the Alcohol Free Life podcast, brought to you by the Sober Club. Please rate and review. And if you want support, accountability and inspiration, and you want to live your best life without the booze, check out thesoberclub.com.